But in 2005, I decided that I wanted to retire from bodybuilding and I want to take this business seriously. Before it was just a hobby. I was making money. I was, paying my expenses and all that. But now I wanted to take it to the next level. That's when I first hired my first mentor. And next thing you know, I doubled the business and tripled the business, and I started doing really well. But something unexpected happened. That's when you told in your intro in 2008, the economy went down, and I literally pretty much almost lost everything.
Wow. So let's talk a little bit about that, because one of the things that I like to, really hone in on this show is people go through shit, right? Like you could be on top of the world one day and the next day you're not. And that really can mess up your mindset and, put you into a downward spiral. So I'm curious about what happened to you after that crash. What happened to your mindset? And
Yeah, well, brother, if I was ever the most depressed, it was that of my divorce, and we'll talk about that. I think in life, there's a couple of things that that can happen to you that you can start regretting your decisions. And one of them is, being, well off and losing it all because you didn't have financial literacy and you didn't know what to do, right? So, when everything started going down in 2008, I started looking back at all the years that I've been working for 8 years there, right? From 2000 to 2008. And I'm like, man, I made some stupid choices with my money. I bought homes on an 80-20 loan back then. I leased cars, and, I was out just, doing extravagant spending. And now that 2008 happens and I'm about to have my first child, now I'm dead broke. So I started like living in the past and what should I change and what should I have done and this and that. And I soon realized that you can't do that. You can't change the past. All you can do is learn from it and move on. Because if you just keep dwelling in the past, that's how you get depressed. And I went into like a little, kind of a little depression, man. I stopped working out, which was a total mistake. Because that's always been my, that was, my anchor. And next thing you know, for a few months, man, I was going downward spin. And then one day I got up and I'm like, you know what? Enough of this pity party. All you got to do is get up every day, do your best, and figure what you're going to do. Because you see, if you live in the past, that's where depression lives. If you try to worry about the future, you can't change the future, so you can't worry about it. Then that's where anxiety lives. I've learned at that time that all I can do is try to win one day at a time. So I get up every day, put a plan together, and I go. So from 2009 to 2013, for a period of 4 years, I got up every day, put a plan together, went and tried to execute the plan, and I failed. Got up every day, went and tried to execute a plan, failed. For 4 years, 365 days, every day I had a plan, and every day it didn't work. Wow. But the plan, just getting up and having a direction was the way for me to get out of my depression. Because depression also sets in when you have too much idle time in your hands, when you have too much white spaces on your calendar. You're sitting down and you're thinking. But if you're working, you don't have time to think. You think, you put an action plan together from a 30,000-foot view. You put it on a daily plan every single day. You execute. And that's how I was able to fight depression, because I made a plan, I stuck to it, and I failed and I failed and I failed and I failed and I failed. And for 4 years I failed. So then we found the formula. We started, seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. We started like, oh my God, okay, I think I'm out of the funk, financial funk. And then one day I'm at work, bam, I got served divorce papers. So I went from one hole to another hole.
So before we even move on, there's a lot to unpack there too, because first of all, I didn't even realize, so you had a child on the way in 2008 when everything happened, or right after that?
Yes. In 2000, my daughter Bailey was born in July 3rd of 2009.
So that must obviously have been added pressure. I mean,
I felt like a loser because my why is to provide for my family. Because I never had the dad to provide for my family. I didn't want to be like my dad. And now I'm standing, I'll never forget that day. I never forget that day, Josh. I was in a restaurant. My wife at the time was sitting in front of me. She was pregnant, 6 months, and we were minus $314 in our bank account. And I'm crying in front of her. So I don't know what to do. No, we're not doing good, but I'll do whatever. I'm going to go and do whatever I can do to get us going. And that's what happened.
Did you have full confidence in yourself? Were you doubting yourself throughout this period?
I was doubting myself. I didn't have full confidence. I didn't know what to do. But all I knew that I'm going to put in some work until I figure it out. Like I said, I'm a firm believer of getting up and having a direction, getting up and do something. It's like this. Here's the way life works, right? I don't know much about baseball, but I know one thing. I guess you get 3 strikes and you're out, right? That's that's a little bit I know about baseball. But if you get up every single day in life, every single you get up and you can have a swing at it. Every day you're going to have a swing at it. So in life, you can pretty much have unlimited swings. All you have to do is swing. I don't care how bad you are at swinging. If you swing enough times, you're going to hit one ball out of the park. All you have to do is keep swinging. And I've learned that. And all I got up, like I said, for 4 years, I swung and swung and swung and swung. Nothing. Till one of them, hit. And that's why we're here. That's why you have me on your podcast, or I would be on your podcast. I would have been like some nobody.
Yeah. Wow, man. So to pull yourself out of that, you created basically a plan for every single day. And I just want to, I love what you said about depression living in the past and anxiety living in the future, because it's so true. And anybody listening to this knows that if you're thinking about the past or you're thinking about the future, you're either thinking about depression or anxiety. So that is a huge point. And I think that what you said about not having too much time on your calendar, waking up every day with a purpose and having a bunch of things to do doesn't leave much time left for the depression and the anxiety and all those things, because you're too focused.
Yeah.
So awesome. Well, let's move on to what you were going to get into with the divorce. That's another thing that hit you when you weren't expecting it.
Yeah, man. So, they say this, that is so true. In life, you're either in a problem, left the problem, or headed towards one. You know what I mean? So I thought, oh my God, once I get out of this, I'm going to be problem free. So I'm like, oh my God, I started getting myself out of the mud, and then boom, I got slammed with another thing, and it was totally unexpected, and I was devastated. Again, my kids are my why. And now, I find myself, move out of the house, live in a hotel room at 40, and now I'm like, oh my God, Sam, good job. Now you finally got back on your feet, but now you're going to lose your family. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? What are you going to do? And I went back to the routine that I created. But I said, all right, so what is my top priority in life? What are the 3, what are the things that I want to concentrate on and spend every awakening moment doing? Okay. And I encourage everybody, all your listeners, everybody who's watching this, I want you to write down 2 to 3 things that you want to do when you're awake. Categories. So my number 1 was like, well, my top category is I want to spend time with my children. Okay. But since now with the divorce, I only see them on the weekends and on Wednesdays. When I'm not with the children, how do I want to spend my time? Well, I want to provide for them, which means work. And if I'm not working and I'm not with the children, how do I want to do the rest of my time? Work out and be healthy so I can do 1 and 2. So I can stress out 1 and 2. So once you're crystal clear on your priorities and how you want to spend your time, the decision making becomes very easy. So my schedule was full of those activities. Okay, I'm either with the children, I'm either at working, or I'm at the gym. And I had a specific schedule for each one. And to fight depression, I had no white spaces on my calendar. I just followed the plan and just followed the plan and just followed the plan. And at that time, the Camp Transformation Center had like 8 locations. when I was divorced. But because I had nothing better to do than work out, and be with the children, I concentrated so much time to work, and we were able to blow it up and make it to what it is today. So had I not been divorced, we probably wouldn't have what we have today.